sometimes you wonder, are you going to add enough value? I'm an Afrikaans speaking individual going to Germany. How am I going to help the German department really, and we all have value to add. We all have different insights. And I learned through my career in the different roles just to ask good questions. So the leader is the guy that should talk last in the room, not first in the room.
Can you walk us through your interesting professional and career journey, which help you to shape your life?
Yeah, I think once career and life, so they're so intertwined, you need to make sure that you're happy in both. If you're unhappy in the one, the other one gets influenced. So if your private life is an unhappy place, then I think your career is an unhappy place and vice versa. I think the first big bias there probably still is around the oil and gas and energy industry is that there is very little innovation happening. And I think, the industry isn't the same as 30 years ago, and people don't understand that if they're outside the industry.
So innovation cycle becomes too short now, like used to be 10 or 5 years or even 1 year, now every 6 months. This is the Oil and Gas Breaking By show, where we are going to invite industry leaders to talk about their journeys and also technologies of tomorrow, in an effort to break some of the biases that might have formed around this energy industry. Hello everyone, I hope you're happy and healthy. I'm Ananja and you're listening to the Oil and Gas Breaking By show. This is a series about leaders who have made it big in this energy industry while breaking some of the biases around them. And today I'm very happy because I will be joined by my mentor and the person which I look up to, Braam Meij, who has more than 20 years of experience while working across 3 different continents and 5 countries. He's really passionate about driving growth, turning business, and also mentoring startups. From leading sales organization to working with venture capital, he has a great passion about strategy, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So without any further delay, let's welcome Braam. Welcome, Braam.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. It's good to meet you after a long, long time. Good to see you.
Yeah, we met in Canada, and then you jumped ship to the US.
But it's all started in Canada.
That's true. But both of us didn't start in Canada.
Definitely. We came from different country, and now we are in different part of the world. I'm looking forward for our conversation today. So as I said, you helped me a lot to shape my career. So I thought this is an opportunity so we can all learn from it and how we can grow in the work that what we are doing. So without any further delay, I will say, can you walk us through your interesting professional and career journey, which help you to shape your life?
Yeah, I think once career and life, so they're so intertwined, you need to make sure that you're happy in both. If you're unhappy in the one, the other one gets influenced. So if your private life is an unhappy place, then I think your career is an unhappy place and vice versa. So I really tried to, throughout my career, balance that, and it's not always that easy, depending on the roles and where you are working and what you are doing. But I think that's first and foremost, to make sure they have a bit of a balance between those two. And when they go out of tune, which happens, that's fine, and then just, focus and bring them back together. I started in South Africa in a small town, Stellenbosch, just outside of Cape Town, where I studied industrial engineering and then moved to Siemens. So I spent more than 2 decades then with Siemens. I actually initially never thought I'll be with one company for such a long time. But the company gave me so many different and unique opportunities that, I didn't always feel I was at one company. I managed to find really great roles and managed to always continue to grow, which probably is one of the most important things of a career, is just to find roles where you can expand yourself and not get pigeonholed. I think that's really critical, especially in the first 10 years. So my advice always to younger people are, your first 10 years, just go and explore, don't jump on one trap and expand your horizon. So I started off doing some industrial engineering work at a factory, and then was lucky to move into project management, which was, I always say, the best and the worst of my career. I think those 7 years or so I was in project management I learned the most about projects, about finances, about customers, about literally everything you find in a project, So spent those time mainly in Africa projects. So I worked in Mozambique and Tanzania doing mobile networks. So at that stage, I was in the telecom space. Realized after a while that I love it and I really enjoyed it. but I wanted to do something different and do that other step. And I moved into more of a strategic role. So that was just something that was open and available to me. And I jumped into that type of role, which gave me a broader view on both the company, how a company operates, but also the broader view of Siemens. At that stage, some healthcare, power generation, different verticals that I'd never really dealt in before. So yeah, that was sort of the first start of my career.
But that's
Um,
interesting, like coming
yeah,
from operation side to on the strategy. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's probably the opposite way how people generally do it. I never saw myself ever then as a strategy guy. I like the operations side more, I think. But there was so much to learn on the strategy side that I felt I could have probably go and do an MBA and get a lot of that. But I got that within Siemens, so I really learned about how to run a company, observing other people at senior level doing it and helping them and guiding them, but always learning. And then I had this real, I don't want to say a need, but a want to go and explore internationally. Luckily, I had a very good HR manager at one point that told me, your career is in your own hands. And it's not in somebody else's hands, And that's
Yes.
maybe another key thing to keep in mind is, so I started just asking everywhere, is there an international role? I want to go international. But it took me a while, I think 3 or 4 years before there was then an opportunity to go internationally.
But at least you knew what you want to do next, and that's what we were
Yes,
discussing
yeah,
before this recording started, correct?
exactly. And I knew what I wanted to do next, but I was also happy in what I was doing, So
Yes, that's
talking
always
about that 1 or 2 steps ahead is worth thinking about. I think personally, I think it's almost useless to think 10 steps ahead. Where do you want to be 20 years from now? And if I would tell the 22-year-old Braam, where would you be 22 years from now sitting in Canada? The VC work and working with startups, there's no ways that would have been in my mindset. So I think planning at 2 steps maximum ahead is
yes.
more than enough, because
I think
that's
so.
realistic.
I think so, and that help you to shape yourself, and you build your network accordingly. You make yourself ready for for that next step.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking about 10 or 20 steps ahead, then there is no visibility there.
No, I think so. Then when that next step comes, you're a little bit ready to handle,
Yeah.
to not doubt yourself and
Yes.
actually go for it. Because I think self-doubt is probably sometimes, some of us, not everybody, is one of the things that hold us back. Am I good enough?
Yes.
Can I really do that job? And so when you get yourself mentally ready to make those steps, it's a lot easier to grab it with both hands.
Makes sense.
So yeah, then I got actually 2 opportunities in Germany. And that's maybe where my career path could have gone very different ways. And I decided more to stay in the strategic lane. So I joined Germany and Munich. It was a brand new setup that was, sustainability was a key topic, and Siemens wanted to put more effort and focus on sustainability globally. So I joined a young team, a startup team that was helping Siemens shape that strategy. And it was a great experience for myself. Also to learn how a global organization run,
Yes.
I was mind-opening for me the first time to go into Germany. And, I knew Siemens was quite substantial in South Africa, but in Germany, it's just next level,
It's
and,
next level. Yes.
it was really amazing, and to be part of that and to learn, what I learned there but then talking about that 2-step approach, I always wanted to get back into the real, I call it the real work, in the operational role. And so after a few years on the sustainability side, I joined again a new group. We consolidated service departments across business units and created a new service unit, which you were in as well
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that stage. But
Where
yours
we
was in
met first,
Canada.
first time.
And so I got the role to help develop and shape a 5-year strategy for
Yes.
this new unit, which was great. And I still managed to continue developing a bit my German, which I mostly lost now that I'm in Canada for such a long time.
Now you must be learning French there.
Yeah, no, my kids are. I'm more of an engineer. I think the language is a tough thing for me to manage. But then what happened, what was really great is, so I had designed this strategy for what we wanted to do. And then actually one Friday afternoon, our CEO of the division came and asked me, said, look, there's a role in Canada. I know you are looking for a more operational role. This is exactly that, but you have to tell me on Monday. And if you want to go there. So it was a short turnaround for me and my wife, but it was such a good opportunity, and mentally I was ready for it
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
what I wanted. So it
definitely.
was almost a I cannot say no type of scenario. And in 2014, yeah, I came to Canada to take over the service business here in Canada, and I think that's when the two of us bumped into one another as well.
Yeah, I still remember you came to visit our team in Edmonton, and where we met
Yeah,
first time.
exactly. Yeah, that was yeah. So that was my real profit and loss type role with full responsibility that I absolutely loved. I really enjoyed that role. Amazing team of people. I had the ability to, because of all the changes that was happening, I could shape and employ some people that I wanted to get into the team, so we could really build a team, not from scratch, obviously, but bring in a few new people, and yeah, it was a great time. So really enjoyed my time at the service business, and it's something I've never done before. So it was also a brand new type of experience for me running a service organization, very different to product. A lot of people issues. You always feel like you're at the end when the problems are the biggest.
Definitely, and everybody expecting you to solve that problem.
Yeah, yeah. There's no time left now. It's just fixing the problems. And it was also a tough time. So when I arrived, I think the oil price was over $100, and 6 months later it was $40. It was a really difficult time for the business as well. But yeah, that was great experience. And then after that role, I wanted to stay in Canada, and yeah, I took some sales responsibility and a different division within Siemens, and in the end was responsible for the sales for that business as well as the overall Siemens One account management strategy for Siemens in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I came to the end of my career at Siemens. It wasn't a COVID thing, that I left sort of just at the tail end of COVID. But I got to the realization that I've been in a big corporate environment almost all my life. I like the entrepreneurial side. So when I was, for instance, in the service business, you can run a
Yes,
business and you can tweak it and really do changes on a shorter term, not such a
yes.
long-term strategy type thing. And I decided I'm going to jump and try my own thing, and see if I can use the knowledge that I've built up over the years. Talking about, a little bit about biases, you sometimes wonder, does the elements you've learned in a big corporate, do they apply to a small startup? And I've learned now over the last 3 or so years that they do. You just have to be intelligent. You can't load the full load of a big corporate
No,
onto a
makes
small
sense.
startup, but a small startup often needs a little bit more structure and
Yes.
process to itself as well. So there's a lot of learnings from my Siemens time and in different countries and different cultures that I can apply now to help startups. And that's really, really nice environment to be in.
Definitely. Like, but we talked about breaking bias. I think I could hear you have broke many biases. Changing a country, changing a role, like from operation to strategy to operation, taking something
Yeah.
new which you were not part of it, and making yourself uncomfortable. And now with this venture capital journey, it's totally different than what you have done last 20 years.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah, no, very true. You go from one day to having just meetings, your calendar is fully booked, as you know, and suddenly you have none. There's nothing in your calendar, and you have to really build up your new network. You got to get involved in areas you don't know at all. You have to write down the three-letter acronyms, that is in that space, and go and Google and learn them. So yeah, it is, but also it's awesome. You can really re-energize yourself through these changes.
I can imagine, but that's only comes when you see this as a positive change. And in the previous episodes, we talked about how skills are also transferable. Like you just mentioned, like what are the
Yeah,
learnings you had with the big corporate? You were able to take them to startups, you know?
yeah.
and
No,
and
absolutely. I think one underestimates your experience and the learnings you've had. There is so many things that you can leverage, and also even people that I can still leverage,
Yes.
because you have built up a good network of
Definitely.
people. I was so fortunate to have amazing managers. I mean, we all have a few ones that's not the best, but I've had amazing managers that were also mentors, not only
Yes.
bosses,
Definitely.
and so some of those people you can still go back to
Definitely.
and challenge them on things that you get stuck with.
And that's really great, and a lot to learn from it. Just changing a topic a little bit here. You have seen both worlds, working with the big corporate. Now you're working with the startups, and they both are very much involved in energy industry. So how do you see this change in this energy industry, and how somebody who's starting his own business or starting a career can make it big?
Yeah, so I think the first big bias that probably still is around the oil and gas and energy industry is that there is very little innovation happening. And I mean, the industry isn't the same as 30 years ago, and people don't understand that. If they're outside the industry, they see it as this big monster and it's not moving, but there is amazing innovation happening. So that would be for me the first bias that needs to be broken. I think when I look now at the startups, the ones, we always say back the jockey, the ones that are really doing well is the ones with great people.
Understood.
You can have an awesome product. If you don't have the right people, it will not work. It just won't work. So my advice always to these startups is, make sure you have a great team, and then you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
So you have to get good advisors and mentors in. And I think that's an area where startups sometimes struggle with finding the right people to help and guide them, because now you need somebody that's willing to, either for free or for some small equity, give you the time and advice.
And
And
that
so
will save a lot
that
of
is a
time,
challenge.
like a lot of time, especially when you're starting that journey.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, but there's so much innovation and opportunity for innovation. If I think there's one area where there's maybe still a lack of, it's the sharing of data. I think, big data is a topic, but without people having access to that data, innovation struggles to happen. And so that's an area where larger organizations and customers or OEMs, if they can make more data available to entrepreneurs that can play with that data, we will see even more innovation happen.
Definitely. So what I'm understanding, there are lots of interest to work in this industry. But
Yeah.
if the big players, the big end users, if they open that data source to the new players, it will bring new innovation to the industry as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, the data is in silos right now.
I mean, a good example is on products. A product provider can optimize their product and do predictive and preventive maintenance in these things, but that product is in some form of a system with inputs and outputs, and it can be done so much more efficiently, I think, if all that broader data set is available. And that's not the job of the product guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's probably not in the sweet spot of the company as well. That's where the entrepreneurial play comes in. They can really take time and develop products around the broader concept.
I think industry is getting more and more open now, but there's still a long way to go, like in that direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think the AI and all these hot topics are driving that. People realize they need to be able to share and provide data if they want to get the intelligence out of it.
And they cannot live their own.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a great trend. That's a very, very good trend that's happening. But even things like safety, I see developments in different industries spill over to other ones. So the small startup I saw here that they do with AI and existing camera systems on construction sites, they can monitor if somebody's having his PPE. Does he have his hard hat on or not? And then they can ping the supervisor, hey, the guy doesn't. It's a small example, and that flows over into other industries.
Definitely,
and this
definitely.
is small things.
It's a small thing, but they add value
everything.
in overall.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So it's good to understand lots of things are happening. If somebody is looking to make a business or career out of this energy industry, it has a lot to offer.
Yes.
But the only thing, sometimes it takes time, but keep patient, and sooner or later the success will come.
Yeah, and I think the other part is don't over-engineer.
And that's the
You
thing.
gotta get to you gotta have your idea. You gotta have a basic plan, and then you got to get to a customer,
Definitely.
that you can take it further. Otherwise, you wait too long, and you're a bit too slow.
And also innovation cycle becomes too short now. Like those days are gone
Yeah.
when it used to be 10 or 5 years or even 1 year. Now I have read somewhere now it's 6 months. And so if you have
Yeah.
an idea, try to pitch in, try to get some buy-in and move into it.
Yeah.
Because if you wait for long, then idea might be obsolete by the time you bring it to the market.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't even know these angel communities, for instance, exist. There's amazing angel communities over in the US and in Canada where regionally you can just apply, and there are lots of people willing to help and jump in to do also a little bit of funding, to get you off the ground. So I think as somebody that wants to go the entrepreneurial route, if you have the energy and you have a good idea, I think it's very doable.
No, makes sense. Coming back to your journey, like it's very interesting where we have started our conversation today. And you have already achieved a lot in your journey. But if you're given a chance to relive your journey, what changes you might make?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I always think back at when I moved to Germany, if I had two paths to take. The one was directly more an operational role, and the other one was more strategic, how my life would have been different. But I don't really like looking back too much because I'm very happy with how things turned out. I'm very blessed here in Canada and with my family and my life overall. So the only thing I would say where I would give advice and something I probably could have done better is back yourself, Sometimes you wonder, are you going to add enough value? I'm an Afrikaans speaking individual going to Germany. How am I going to help the German department really, And we all have value to add. We all have different insights. And I learned through my career in the different roles just to ask good questions. But you can only ask good questions if you listen properly, And so I think I recently also read something on leadership. The leader is the guy that should talk last in the room, not first in the room. And I think that's really good advice. So listening and then, understanding and then going in with your ideas is the right approach. And then you can always add value and grow your confidence through that approach. There's a good saying that you can do anything, but you cannot do everything.
Yeah, I agree.
So
if you try to do everything, you tie yourself to
and
that
you need
job
to trust your
forever.
team.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if I look back, the managers or the people that influenced my life the most and made me be better was people I trusted. So it's important to build trust relationship either with your leader or the leader, more importantly, with the people he's leading. And when you can build a trust relationship, that's the people you want to work with and work for. And it even makes it more difficult to leave, even if you know it's time to go on to the next role, because you have such a good trust relationship.
Definitely. And that network goes for whole life. It's not just it's just not about the company, like the way you and I connected a long time ago. But even I left Siemens 5-6 years ago, but we are still connected. So if you build good network,
even when you was with the competition, yes.
And so that network stays with you. And I think it's a good learning for all of us. The other thing you have mentioned, and I like to highlight a little bit on there, to make yourself uncomfortable. That's one. And also believe in yourself. As you mentioned, like from Africa, going to Germany, and then thinking about how can I add a value. And so even though you might not be fitting in that group or that team, but always think like what other value you can bring on the table. And I fully agree. Sometimes we underestimate ourselves to great extent.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that helped me the most in my career was willingness to put up my hand, So you're doing a role, there's some other opportunities coming by, and just being willing to say, yeah, I'll jump in, I'll help out, And sometimes your life is too busy and you can't, and that's also fine. And sometimes you do have time and you can put extra energy in.
Extra effort there, yes. Yeah.
I feel it's, effort is rewarded, and especially not especially, but throughout your career, you have to put the effort in if you wanna go further. And sometimes you're happy at the place you're at, and that's also fine. Everybody won't become a CEO, and that's good.
That's good, definitely. So it's a really great, lot to learn. But last thing I will ask, just to summarize, if you have to pick one key takeaway for someone who's looking to big in his life, what would be that?
I would say maybe I'm going to say two things. pick the right boss or manager. You learn so much from the people that you work with. So if you have two roles, the one it's close, then go for the better manager, not for the better role or the higher salary. I think we get sidetracked by salaries very quickly, but learning is way more important at the beginning. That would definitely be almost my key point. And then the other one I would come back to, don't plan 10 years ahead. Plan maximum 2 steps ahead.
2 steps.
Focus on those and make them happen. And we actually discussed this briefly. Maybe also impatience, get rid of the impatience. Sometimes the world has become so fast moving, and instant gratification, and it doesn't necessarily always work that way within your career. And sometimes patience is a great thing. If you continue to learn, I think if you're stagnating, then impatience is a great thing.
Yes.
Then be impatient and move. But if you're still learning and growing, don't be too impatient.
I fully agree. Like it's good to have ambition, but you don't need to be impatient. And the other thing you have mentioned before, even you have ambition to grow, but do the work whatever you have today. Do the work well whatever you have today. And that's very important because I have seen some people they want to change their role, they want to grow in their career. But the mistake they do, and they stop doing the work what they have today.
Yeah, they're so focused on the next role, they forgot about their current role.
Current role, definitely.
That's a very good point.
With that, we have to stop now because you and I can speak for hours.
Yes.
It's great meeting you, Braam. But before we sign off, anything to add here?
No, I think maybe the only message is also more to senior management, trust the younger generation. I remember quite a few opportunities where we had young people that were willing to step up. And it's the flip side, like, well, he's never managed a department yet. So none of us ever managed a department before we haven't managed a department,
I had to go through same bias in my career.
Yeah, exactly. And so it goes two ways, Give a guy that's willing to put up his hand the opportunity and support him and make him successful,
Yes, I agree.
And so I think we need to overcome that bias as senior managers as well and give people opportunity. They will, 9 out of 10, they're going to be successful.
Definitely.
And sure,
because they're hungry. Because they're hungry and they will also bring a new perspective to whole equation.
Yeah.
Sometimes that part is missing. And as I said, like I could relate to it. I had to face this bias in my career, but I was more I will say around good people. But sometimes you have that kind of experience, but you will learn from that experience, and you don't want to repeat same mistake for others around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's great. So with that, we have to stop now. So thank you so much for listening Oil and Gas Breaking Bias show today. I will meet again next week. Have a great day. Thank you.